Hello guys, and welcome to today's video. Mostly I'm making this video to just show you guys all the stuff that I've made, but because it's pretty simple, I'm also going to show you guys how to make it. So first, let me just explain what it is that I'm making. Basically just beaded pillows. So there are pretty much two steps: beading, pillow. So what you will need to do this project, firstly, are some supplies. So the supplies that I used were, I got a piece of fabric. This pillow is pretty big, and you can kind of see the design on it from the back, but I'm going to show you in a minute. And this one's in progress. So this pillow, you can see the big my head is, so it's pretty big, but I've also made a lot of small ones. So you're going to want to choose some fabric first. And some advice for that fabric is make sure your fabric is relatively thick, meaning that you don't want it to be fabric that's going to fray really easy or that's really thin. I can show you. So you see what the edge of this fabric is doing. I'm going to bring this close to the camera, but I hope you can see it. What the edge of this fabric is doing right here is this is fraying. And it's when the threads come out of where they're supposed to be, and it makes the fabric really thin. This fabric is actually pretty thick. At first glance, you think it's not, but it's actually pretty thick. It's also flannel, and the fabric that I've been using is flannel. Now, a fabric that would be too thin is this. Now, this is me holding it up folded. So you can see that this fabric is kind of translucent. You can probably see me through it. I know I can see me through it. And you can also see here the edge is also fraying, and it's fraying really, really easily. Like if I grab one of these strings and pull it, it's gonna come out. And so thinner fabric like this is not what you're gonna want. I believe this is some sort of linen, but I'm not really sure. So you're gonna want something that's at least flannel thickness. You could probably use really thick cotton, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. And of course you can always use what normal people use for embroidery fabric, which I don't know what that is. I just happen to have flannel. So you're going to need your piece of fabric. Then you are going to want a marker that is going to be able to remove itself from the fabric later. So I always use Crayola washable markers, but if you have another brand of washable markers, that works just as well. The main thing is that the marker will be able to, the pigment is going to be able to come off later. So the first step of your project is that you're going to take a piece of fabric and put the right side up. So, this is how I found it easy. So as you can see, the back side is the side you don't want to see. That is the wrong side. The right side is the side that you're going to have facing out when you finish the pillow. So it's the side that people are going to be touching and seeing. This is the right side, and you want to take your marker and draw whatever image that you're going to make out of beads on the front. So you can kind of see right here, this blue marking, that is the markings that I've made with my marker. And you do not have to put your whole drawing on at once. If you want to start with like an outline border, you just draw the border on first, sew that on, and then do the rest. That is fine. Depending on how good you are at this, I would start with some more simple designs, and when I get to showing you what I did, you'll be able to see what I progressed from to. Then, of course, to actually do the sewing, the supplies that you will need are a needle to sew with, and the size of your needle is going to depend on the holes, the size of the holes in whatever beads or sequins that you use. You need a needle. I'm holding it, and you see it. There we go. This one is really, really tiny. I can't tell you how big it is, but if you kind of just look at how big the eye of it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's not doing a very good job, but it's going to need to be real small. So this is probably something that you want to be pretty confident at threading a needle with to do. So you're gonna need your needle, then you're gonna need some thread. This is a bunch of scrap threads because since you can't really see the thread most of the time when you're doing this, it doesn't really matter what color it is. Generally, if your fabric is a darker color, do a darker color. And if your fabric is a lighter color, do a lighter color. My fabric is green and I'm using this dark blue, which kind of shows up as black against the green. Then you're gonna want whatever kind of sequins or beads you're sewing on. I actually used up all of my beads already, but these are my little star sequins. And what I found was helpful is having a container to put them in, because when you're actually sewing, it's kind of hard to get the beads out of this little container. So I pour them into this container and then I take them out. And the basic process of sewing them on is pretty self-explanatory, but let's show you with this needle and I will see if I can actually do it. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna have to do a little bit of imagining here. Right now, you tie a knot on the end of your thread and slide the needle through once. So there's a knot on the end of your thread, it's underneath, the knot is on the wrong side and your needle is coming out of the right side. Through your drawing, you're going to slide a bead or a sequin on to this end, slide it down all the way to where the thread is coming out of the fabric, and then take your needle and some people might just go down and then reach under the fabric, bring your needle, push it back up through. What I found is easier is once you have your bead all the way down here, you can just put your needle in and then stick it back out again all at once, and that makes it a lot faster. I'm not actually doing it because it's hard to take the needle out once you've done that. You don't want to do a stitch like that. Basically, think about how you would use a pin when you're sewing to pin a piece of fabric to something. You go under the fabric and then come back up out of the fabric again with the top of the pin so that both ends of the pin are out on the top of the fabric, but the middle is underneath. That's what you're gonna do with your sewing needle. And then you're gonna bring it all the way through, slide another bead on, and do that again. And basically, when you're doing that, you're gonna do it along the lines that you drew with the various beads and sequins. So, and scissors are gonna be helpful. I have little tiny ones for snipping threads. Make sure you tie a knot at the end of every time that you finish a thread. Yeah, all right, so tutorial part is over, and now I'll show you this one that I'm actually in the middle of. This so far has taken me 3 hours and I'm not finished with it, and hopefully you can see what that looks like. So this is a outline of silver stars. Then there is a bird in rainbow tiny beads sitting on a branch that has some star flowers. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, there is my attempt at drawing branches. They're not very good branches, so we're just gonna let them be abstract. Depending on how intricate you make your design, it's gonna depend on how time-consuming your sewing project is. So that's one of the harder ones that I've done, and so it's gonna be a little bit longer to do. The one that I actually have finished is a sailboat. There you go. And that one's a lot more simple design, and it took me about 2 or 3 hours. Not really sure. Okay, and now we're going to change location, and I'm going to show you the pillows that I have that are finished up. So I know that I'm at a kind of a weird angle, but that's just the way it is right now, so bear with me. So one of the first pillows that I made was this one. It's actually out of a piece of scrap fabric, and then I just sewed some little bows out of ribbons and sewed them along the lines of the plaid. So that's not part of this beading process, but it's tiny and cute. So I actually didn't have a lot of ideas for what pictures to sew, so I just sewed tiny shapes. And so I started with just a medium-sized circle, And then I did a bigger circle. And I did 2 circles, kind of look like eyes. Then I did 3 circles. Then I did a square. And then I was like, okay, that's cool. Now I'm gonna move on to other shapes. And so then I made this little cute bow. And so I started with basic shapes, then I moved on to the bow, then I made a teddy bear face that was kind of derpy, and then I moved on to doing them on bigger pillows. Okay, so the lighting in here isn't amazing. As you can see, my mom has a lot of beautiful art on her wall, but I'm now going to show you the other pillows. So we have this little one. I forgot that I made this, but it's got a little heart on it. This might be what some people would call applique, but I don't think that it is. And it's got some turtles. I forgot to show you the backs of all the other pillows, but you'll see them in a minute. So that one just has a little heart sewed on the outside of it with turtles in it. And then this is the teddy bear that I made. I'll put him there, you can see. I ran out of these gold beads after I'd done his ears, eyes, and mouth, and so that's when I started using the rainbow beads that I did around his face. And right now in the camera it looks like the lighting is showing me you can't really see the colors, but hopefully that's just my having the brightness down. And when my mom saw it the first time, she didn't know I made it for her, and she suggested that I give him a nose, so he has a little button for a nose. And then have this size pillow, and this is about the size of the ones that you saw upstairs. That's the size they're going to be when I actually sew them together and stuff them. They're going to be this size or a little bit bigger. And this one sort of makes me think of like a dragon heart, and as you can see, it's a little heart shape made out of little sequins that are blue stars, and I did one on the other side too. This heart is a little bit better. It's got more of a point. I actually had one of these sequins left in my bed, and I fell asleep because I sew on my bed. I fell asleep and I had a little star shape stain from the dye on my leg for a full day, which was kind of cool looking. I also just wanted to show you guys these masks that I've made. I made 6 of these. They're kind of obnoxiously bright, but they work, and if I can figure out which side is up, I'll try it on for you. There we go. So I found out, if you can hear me, I found out that my ear straps are a little bit loose, so I'm gonna take them in a little bit. This is how tight they should be, because when they're this loose and I look down, my eyes get... Yes. The actual pattern that I used to make these masks, I believe, is by Rachel Maxey. I used her YouTube tutorial to make the body shape for these masks, except for that my sizing's slightly different. And then instead of doing the binding up the side and then across the top to tie on your head, I just did my binding all the way around the outside and then made my ear straps out of something else. At first I tried to use hairband elastics, but those were too tight, so these are strips of t-shirt that my Nana suggested, and they're a little loose, but if you find a little ribbon you can tie them behind your head. They're not quite long enough to tie behind your head, but so I have made masks too. So those are the results that I got from doing this little project, and I hope that tutorial was helpful. It might have been not the most comprehensive, but please let me know if you guys found that at least a little bit interesting or helpful. And if you guys tried this, please show me what you made. I'm pretty sure you can't put images in YouTube comments, but I have an Instagram. It is at Bumblebee Cucumber is my aesthetic, and Bumblebee is spelled without an E in Bumble, so it's B. I don't know why I made it that hard. I'm probably just going to put it across the screen so you don't have to go through the atrocity of hearing me say that. Also, maybe you guys didn't see this. My hair is drying from a shower, so that's why I have it like this, but it will stay out of my face. But the way it looked in my brushing out my braids video was it was kind of like faded out bluish gray. I touched it up with sort of a aquamarine color. It's like blue-green. So it's not like a super different color. It just filled in the places that were starting to fade with sort of an aquamarine color. So again, check out my Instagram for pictures of that. It is private, but obviously I'll let you guys in just because you can't block people as well if you have a public Instagram, and I have needed to block people. So please be nice to me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you are also having a nice day, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye!